Ah, Hi everyone. So something that actually popped up into my feed on TikTok, which was surprising to see actually, because I actually listened to this live. I was there at the Disturbed concert when David Draymond actually said that. And if you don't follow Disturbed, let's just shut this off. There we go. Um, the one thing is, he talked about how he missed some names that unfortunately passed away due to depression. Um, took their own lives. And David Draymond even said that 2 months ago he almost took his own life. I heard this live May 10th. And I actually found the video on TikTok. I uploaded it here on YouTube. It's also on Disturbed's TikTok if you want to go see the full video there. And to be honest, like I battle my own demons myself. I have attempted suicide when I was 15 years old. I am going to be 27 this year. Like long time ago, to be honest, it was almost an entire lifetime ago for me. I was an entirely different person back then. Now I still battle stuff, but I am nowhere near in that position anymore. Which it took me a long time to get out of that space. However, I do want to say though that if you are struggling in the slightest bit with anything, if you just want somebody to talk to, you might not know me, and that's okay. I am willing to honestly talk to anybody. I don't mind that at all. If I can make your day, if I can just talk you down or just chat with you, that's fine. If you need, I will be your reason to fight. And, because when I heard David Draymond say that, like, Disturbed has been my favorite band for a very long time. Disturbed has gotten me through a lot of my demons, to be honest. Just listening to their music, just a way to kind of let go. And actually, David Draymond said it the best of, we didn't know it, but that concert was group therapy. And to a certain degree, it was. I hadn't cried for a long time, and I cried 100%. Couple times during that concert, to be honest, especially when he said that, and and that's the one thing. Depression can hide itself so well. It's like a disease, you know, but it's a hidden disease. There's a lot of people that have no idea. If I had never said anything on my channel, period, most people would have no idea that I deal with this stuff. They just see this happy-go-lucky girl that works on Mustangs typically and does all this automotive content and reviews other people's cars and stuff like that. But this is something that we need to kind of talk about. And it's one of those things because, and like I mentioned, I had my attempt years and years ago, like coming up on 12 years now. And it's okay though. It happened. And, I swore to myself that I would never attempt again because I never felt worse than when that happened. And know that if you deal with anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you just should stay, or you have to stay strong. And like I mentioned, if you need a reason to fight, I will be your reason to fight. I will not let anybody, if I can help it, falter under me chatting with them. I will do everything in my power to make that not happen, to hopefully put a smile on your face. If like I said, if people want to talk to me one on one, that's very easy. The easiest way, contact my Instagram. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me, which is Katarina's.garage. Um, my TikTok, granted, messaging on there is a little weird. but I can do TikTok as well, which is the same address, and then I have my Facebook page, which I don't post to anymore. But if you message me there, it's a little more difficult for me to get back to you on that, but I can, which is Katarina's Garage as well. So, it's one of these things where it's it's just awful, depression, anxiety, even addiction is one of those are the worst things, I swear, that we have as a society, because there are so many of us that struggle. So many people struggle. Most of the people that I know have struggled with it. It amazes me when I hear of actually people that haven't. And, it blows my mind. And I seriously hope, though, that there will be a point where it's becoming much more socially acceptable to talk about it. But I hope that there's a point where we can talk about this all the time and it's okay, that nobody is scared to talk about it, that we can just, open up and it's okay. That's what I'd want the most, to be honest. And, like, I was honestly, when I went to see Disturbed, because I wasn't expecting that. Like, because I've seen them in concert before. Back then, it wasn't an emotional concert at all. It was just a really good concert, and I love seeing Disturbed. To be honest, they're, like I said, my favorite band. They've gotten me through a lot of my troubles throughout the years. But it's just one of these deals where I just wish that more people would reach out. And I know, and I even have problems reaching out myself, and I have problems too. Um, actually, just want to fix my shirt. There we go. Um, it's just I want to do everything I can for people because I've been there, and I searched for people to talk to at times and didn't have anybody, and it's just sad, very sad. And and I wish that you know that wouldn't be a thing, but it's true because I know, like, I have issues reaching out. 100% I do, but at least though, with my problems, they aren't so extreme that I am going to cause harm to myself or to others. It will only be me in certain situations. Although there is one thing though I will say, that because I also battle something else, which is depression technically, but it's not standard depression. I actually deal with a thing called bipolar depression, which basically means I'll get a chemical imbalance in my head and it won't go away. And I'll feel depression for no reason. There is no thoughts in my head at all. But it's just there. It's just this constant sadness. And sorry, my cat's kind of distracting me. Saber, hey bud, you can come up if you want. Come on, Saber, come here, bud. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, basically, it's just bipolar depression is just awful because, like, at least with general depression, there's usually something that triggers it. Bipolar depression, there's nothing that's triggering it other than like brain chemistry stuff. Um, but with general depression, there's usually like an event or something like that, or just general you thinking of something. Because I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of issues. Like, my mother's side of the family, I haven't talked to them in years. I cut off my mother so long ago, to be honest. This was like 5 or 6 years ago now. Um, my two brothers, I don't talk to them either. And my whole entire mother's side of my family, to be honest, I don't talk to any of them. which can be rough at times. It's gotten throughout the years, but especially those first couple of years, man, it was rough when it came to those groceries. Now it's just, not as big of a deal anymore. And like even my mother's birthday was a problem too for me for the longest time. And now it doesn't really bother me too much. It still does a little bit, but I can go through my day and it's fine. Hey, Saber, what do you want? You might want food, which is a problem because I'm trying to do this at the same time. But it's important that I feed the kitty. Hi, Saber. Do you want food? Is that what you want? Hey, buddy. But basically, like, I just kind of wanted to do this video just to tell you that you're not alone, you know, and that if you need anybody, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, you're hungry, aren't you? Yeah, okay, I'll feed you. I'll feed you. Hang on one moment, please. I'm sorry. My cat Saber, who happens to be turning 24 this year, is hungry, so I need to feed him. Give me one moment, and I'll be right back. And then, we can talk about other stuff as well that isn't kind of depressing in a way, because this kind of is. But I promise you that we'll talk about, like car stuff as well and stuff like that on this particular live stream. But I shall be right back. I just don't want that falling over. Okay, Saber, go to your food dish and I'll feed you. Sorry about this. I'll be right back. You'll see me in the background. Hey. Yeah, nobody's commented anyway, so that's okay. But I don't know if you can hear me, but like I mentioned, there is so much stuff that we go through just as a society in general that we don't, that some will think is taboo in a way just because we just hide our stuff and we don't talk about it like we should. And I am totally guilty of that. 100%. I am. But if I am desperate, I will reach out. And I promise that. I have people now. When I started to go through this, I didn't have anybody. Like my mother, I had her at the time, but again, she wasn't the healthiest person to really talk to about some of this stuff. My dad just didn't fully understand. And I didn't really have any friends for the longest time, to be honest, either. Especially like, when high school hit, like when some people say, high school was really good for them, I'm like, you're one of the rare few. Because like a friend of mine posted on Facebook the other day of talking about how, he posted this video of this guy that gave his I think it was his daughter. No, his son, sorry. I believe. Yeah, I believe it was his son. Gave them a car for graduation, right? And he said, "Oh, I wouldn't do this only because, that's like the easiest point in your life." I'm going, "No, that was the hardest point in my life for me. I bounced around to so many high schools and, even stay in class." There was how many high schools did I actually go to towards the end? I think there was a total of 4. And my body was trying desperately to get me to stay home. So it manifested quite a few issues, to be honest. There was, 2 weeks of nothing but migraines that I finally just had to go to the hospital to get rid of. And it was after I called out a teacher for just being an asshole, to be honest. Or, well, I shouldn't say that. Just being kind of dumb in a way and not realizing that I was going through a lot of crap at the time. But, there was that. And thank you, Trevor. To be honest, like, my struggle, I don't see it ending, but it will, it's gotten better throughout the years. Hi, Scott, or T. Scott. T. Scott George. How's it going? You know, I just kind of wanted to put this out there because, like I mentioned towards the beginning of this video, there was this video that's circulating around now because Disturbed actually put it on their personal TikTok. I'm sure that clip has got to be on YouTube as well. I happen to post it on my YouTube as well because on TikTok you can do that, and it shows that it's from Disturbed. And I'm not claiming any credit for filming that. It was not me. Okay, Scott. Fair enough. Fair enough. But basically, where David Draymond talked about, you know, he kind of starts off the clip where, he just talks about how depression and addiction are just these evil things that, are, it's like a disease. It's just like cancer. And he goes into talking about how he misses Chester, which, that's Chester Bennington. Scott, which I believe is Scott Harrington. And there was one other which eludes me at this current time. And right after he goes, and 2 months ago I almost joined them. Which, hearing that just kind of broke me, to be honest. I broke down crying hearing that live in concert. And it's awful, but and it just goes to show you that anybody can go through that. And you look at that video and you can see David Draymond just in his body language and his face of he is not okay in that moment. And you can tell. And but he called that concert a group therapy session, which is quite accurate, to be honest. And I just wanted to talk about some of my struggles and to just tell people that you're not alone. That if you need to talk to anybody, that I'm here. I'll talk to literally anybody. And because I don't want to lose anybody. I don't want to hear that I could have helped somebody and it didn't happen. And even if it's not anything like this deep. Yeah, and I've dealt with the demons for a long time, to be honest. I just hide it very, very well on YouTube. I'm glad to hear though that you haven't. Because, like I said, I've dealt with depression for many, many years. The earliest that I can sort of remember, I think I was 12. Which, bear in mind, I'm going to be 27 in less than a month. So that's like a lifetime ago for me. Because I was a completely different person then too. Now, I am much better now than I was back then, 100%. And you don't have to worry about me in a regard of like taking my own life or anything, because I vowed not to do that after I attempted once. And I mean, thank God it didn't work. But, because it just, the feeling in that moment, which I was 15 at the time when I attempted, was the worst feeling I've ever felt. And I never wanted to feel like that again. So I vowed to myself I would never ever attempt to do that again. And hi, Brian. Brian is a really good friend of mine. Actually, he's his doggos always make my day whenever I see them. And it's funny because me and him will do voice texts back and forth all the time. And the thing is, his dogs, even though we've never met, they recognize my voice, which is pretty cool, to be honest. I can't say my cats recognize anybody else's voice other than like mine and my dad's. But and that's just a really cool thing. And just stuff like that. And even if people just want to message me, even just to talk about your day, whatever else. It doesn't need to be that, hey, you're in a situation where you need to talk to somebody. Even if it's just you want to chat, you just want somebody new to talk to, you can always reach out to me. That's fine. I'm always willing to listen to people and do whatever I can for them. And even if it's just like a casual conversation, that's fine. And now, Brian, are you talking about the Theo story from yesterday that you told me last night? Or is this the another one? Because I'm pretty sure that's the one you're talking about. Um, because if it is, like, it's actually a pretty funny story, and I can actually talk about that just to bring some joy to people's lives here in the chat and here, because we actually have 7 viewers, which is awesome. You know, and yeah, it's one of these things, like, because actually, okay, so Brian's giving me permission to talk about this. So Brian happens to have a dog named Theo. He's I can't remember his breed. He'll probably put it in the comments of what breed he is. But he's a rescue pup, and something that happened the other night, because the dogs jump up on the bed and sleep with him. And the one Theo was right beside his head. And there you go, old English bulldogs. There you go. And the thing is, in his kind of sleepy state, he was feeling around the dog, and again, it's he had the light off, so he couldn't really see, and he feels this lump, and he's thinking, oh gosh, is this cancer? Because unfortunately, he lost a dog to cancer, not terribly long ago, to be honest, which it's horrible, but he's got Theo, and he's got the other one, which they're awesome dogs. But anyways, so he feels this and thinking, oh, it's this lump or whatever else. And then when he finally wakes up in the morning, because like he just has this dread of like, oh no, please not this. Wakes up in the morning and realized that, well, he was essentially fondling his dog's balls. And was getting so worried about it being cancer when realistically, yeah, the dog was just turned around. When he told me that, like, I was in the tub and we were just voice chatting back and forth, and I lost it. Just started laughing so hard, to be honest, and it was just so priceless. But yeah, and it's one of those things where if it's pitch black and you can't see anything and you don't go to check, I mean, yeah, but like I told him, it's like beasts are off limits. We both like women. Women are great, we're awesome. um you know but yeah, just joking around with him, right? And honestly, that was just too funny. And to be honest, like, and that's one of those things, like, I like just to have fun and have good conversations. They don't necessarily have to be around cars. It just happens to be what my life revolves around. But it doesn't have to be like that, because again, I haven't even really mentioned my cars at all, and we're 23 minutes in, and which is awesome. Like, and I don't get me wrong, like, if we want, we can talk about cars as well and whatever else, and like even of the impact of what my cars have actually done for me as well, because they have, to a certain degree, my cars have actually been my sort of rock at times when I didn't really feel like reaching out to people, which actually happens a lot. I get depressed and just sometimes, like, if there's thought behind it, it's a different story. I will actually reach out. But if there's no thought, if it's my bipolar depression, I don't reach out, because there's nothing that can be done about it. Talking whatever else doesn't affect that, because there's zero thoughts. All it is just this constant depression in you inside, and you don't know, like, you have no idea how to fix it or what to do. And it's sad, but it is what it is, right? And I deal with this stuff all the time. Like, and if I didn't talk about this, people would have no idea, to be honest, because when you see me on YouTube, you see me for 20 minutes at a time, typically, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, and you see me just kind of happy. Oh, did you? I did not see that. Or maybe I did? I'm trying to remember. I'm just looking now, because was that... No, it wasn't that. Um, trying to think. No, because that's not you. I'm trying to actually find where you sent that. I kind of sort of remember seeing those, but I don't remember. Okay. Sounds good. Just so that I remember, like, which one's you, because I don't remember. To be honest, it's one of these things. Like, and also, I will say something though. If I am forgetful about things, and if I repeat things a lot, I do apologize for that, because especially after I got COVID, and after I got this condition, which is called POTS. Now, granted, I don't have an official diagnosis of POTS, but I have a lot of the criteria to meet it. It's just you have to fight for a diagnosis for literally no cure, so it's not even worth it. It's a heart condition, but also it screws with your head. I will have these sort of just brain farts, or as we call them in Novitaz's live stream, brain frogs, all the time. And a lot of time I won't remember as much, and it's sad. I wish I could, but I just can't. You know. Um but as I spill water on myself. Jeez. But, you know, it is like the thing is, and I'll even talk about it, you know, with my cars, and actually how my cars have helped me with my whole situation of depression and stuff like that, because I didn't have a hobby that was fulfilling before. I've always been into cars, but I never owned one until 2019. I owned a motorcycle for a few months, but it was crashed and I was just parting it out. I don't really count that as a vehicle because it was written off. And once you like sort of write a bike off, it's really difficult to repair it in general. And I didn't have the skills. I have almost no skills. You know, and sorry, I found my other phone the other day that I haven't really touched in a long time, so I've been using that too. Okay, that's you. Okay, because it's always confusing when it's different names on YouTube and on Instagram, so I'll have to remember that. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, actually, you never sent those to me until now. So let's take a look at this. So he actually sent me a couple of cars. That's it for that? That seems cheap. Okay, so he sent me. I wish I had this so that I could show it up on screen, but I can't. I can show my phone, I suppose. But it's a mint condition, granted higher miles. I will say that. So maybe that's what's keeping the price down. It's a 93 Mustang SVT Cobra. It's black, which is the color you want. Well, actually, you want these in red or you want these in black. But it's the last year of the Fox body. It's a 5-speed, which I believe all of them were. I don't think they made automatics. Unless if you want to consider, there's this one on Facebook, and there's so much gray area of it. I have no idea if it's actually real, and if it is, cool. But there's this guy on Facebook. He has what's called the Georgia Snake, if you've ever heard of it. It's supposedly a promotional from 1992. They only made apparently 10 of them. Convertible, and it's apparently an SVT Cobra, but you know the badging is like looks wrong on it, and there's a few other things. For this to be like a promotional car, it's just kind of odd. And they never made a convertible prior to that. They were just a dealer option, which was basically just stickers that said Cobra. That's it. You know. And we had them as early as 79, actually. Because the one thing is, we didn't get the GT until 82, which I mean, nor did the United States, mind you. And so the Canadian dealers were like, well, let's fill in this area and put Cobra, which is funny because the Cobra could have been 2.3 turbo, it could have been the V8, could have been the 4.2 V8, which is the 285, or the 302. You know, it's just a little interesting actually, and you know, just not well known. And well, and I guess, I mean, there is okay. So 2 days left on that auction for that Cobra. It's a mint car. You know, it's on Cars and Bids. You know, there's usually not anything on here that's too ratty. I mean, and it's got 100 and essentially 60,000 miles on it. So that does kind of. Well, actually, here's a question because I do want to look at the pictures fully and see. So, just scrolling through. There's some little blemishes in the paint. Not too bad though. Ah, okay. Fair enough. Oh, and it's not stock. Okay, that's what might be bringing the value down on this because it's not bone stock. It's got some modifications. The one modification that I like, but again, purists would go nuts for this, is on the interior here. It's got the cup holders in the center there, which that's from LMR. It's just a kit that you can get for the Aero Mustangs that instead of the ashtray, you can have cup holders, right? But also look at those seats. Those are not the original seats in the car either. They would have been much different than that. And oh, I got this really blurry thing going on here. You know, which this I might just have to do this. Maybe? No, that didn't work. It will change back. But yeah, so non-original seats, the cup holder, the stereo isn't original either. It's just an aftermarket head unit, nothing special. And now, I thought Fox Bodies never got, at least in the United States, a 6-digit odometer. Maybe the Cobras did. Yeah, no, it's just it's on my end. I'm trying to. This usually works. Nah, it's not working. And unfortunately, there's not much I can do with this. It'll just switch over when it can. Because I might need to, yeah, actually, because see, case in point, there you go. The seats, those are just Corbeau seats. Which, granted, are actually quite nice. You know, like, the Corbeau seats are actually quite decent. So it'll focus on my phone. That's funny. But it won't focus on me. Nah. There we go, that worked. I had to put my face up to it. And see, and the seats aren't even mint either. But also, like, so you got these Corbeau seats up front. The rear seats are the original leather, which they're a little tatty as well. I can see why this is only 19 grand, to be honest. Um, Carpet's a little dirty. It has some condition issues. Plus, it has an aftermarket. I think that's a temp gauge as well. Yeah, the seats are Corbeau seats. But the back seats are the originals. See, those seats back there are original to the car. Right, the gray. Which all of those Cobras, I believe, had gray seats. I think. Maybe there may have been black as well, but I think that was it. You know, and like I don't know a ton on these, but I do know this stuff that like, yeah, there's some non-original stuff on it. Which, you know, was so dumb is so changing out the radio, I'm not kidding. You can see, you know, that radio is not original. It's just one of those aftermarket decks that cost like $50. You know, if they actually put an original radio back in this car, it could actually make the value a lot more, which is funny because I have a couple lying around. Like I have two. But they're early ones because the Aero ones are different. I have the 4i ones. Because I have one out of a Escort, which is the one I have inside here, and then one that's in the car is it's actually out of my 83 parts car. Now, what's rare about, because actually I'm gonna grab it really quick because I wanna showcase this actually because it's kind of cool. I've showed this radio off on the channel before, and oh, it's got a big ass kicker sub in the back too. Like, dude, if you're gonna sell your car, and even aftermarket wires, it's got an aftermarket coolant hose, it's got a BBK throttle body on it, like cold air intake. Like, what, dude? Originality is what makes these valuable. It's got an aftermarket rad in it too. So it's one thing for these mods if they're all reversible. Don't get me wrong. Every mod on this is reversible. But it's one of these things where this is not one that I would have tried to revert this as original as I could. And then because he has some of the original stuff, because it has different valve covers on it too. It doesn't have the original headers no more. You know, like it's, I can see why that this thing, he does have the original rad. He kept that, so that's good. But so he has some of the original pieces still to this car. He does have the original airbox and stuff like that. And yeah, so at least he has all this stuff. But again, why wouldn't you just put it back on the car? And yeah, that's the same one. But I do want to actually showcase this radio. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, I could even just. Oh wait, no, I won't take you with me because I realized that I have a couple things plugged in here and can't remember which one's which. Whoa, no, go away for that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the giant sub back there is just kind of awful looking, actually, because it kind of ruins the look. But hang on 1 second. I want to grab this radio because it's actually inside here. Don't fall. Oh. So, this one, and it's unfortunate because it's missing one tiny little piece, which doesn't really bother me that much. Just missing this piece because realistically, I'd probably have something stuck in there anyways. Which this is the radio I'm going to put in the car because it happens to be in slightly better shape than the other one, and it's also rarer. So this radio here, it's a factory Ford radio. This radio, which like obviously it's missing a knob and it's missing the little thing here too. But I have all those parts, so it's not really a big deal. You know, the thing is with this thing that's so rare, because this happens to be the premium sound one. This is out of an 82 Escort that I picked up out of the junkyard. 82 Escort GT. I've heard this thing work. It works. But what's rare about this one, because, okay, this is the premium sound one. So the difference that this one has is right here. This button, if you actually have one in your car, which I won't, but I could hook this up, which I don't know which wire it would be to hook that up, because here, like, so this is your rear speakers, which you just plug into that. Your front speakers are here. So that's your ground. And I believe, yeah, so that's going to be power and ground there. And then there's your 3 front speakers. But where you actually tie in the amp, I don't actually know to this. I'm not, now I will say I am not an expert on wiring at all. I'm kind of shite at it, to be honest. But it's really cool that I found this. I found this like 2 years ago in the junkyard, and I had to have it. It cost me $15. This radio, because the only thing it's missing is obviously the cassette door, right? That's gone. So, and it's not just stuck in here, like it's gone. But that's okay. You know, because realistically, what I do is there are these. My dad has one for his Magnum actually, because it still has, you know, in 2005, Dodge still had cassette decks. But anyways, So there's this little thing that now they do make one for 8 tracks as well, where basically all it is, and they make Bluetooth ones as well, to where you plug it into, like I said, your cassette, and it has an auxiliary cord off of it. You can plug it into your phone, or you can plug it into a Bluetooth device and use Bluetooth with it, or some of them are just Bluetooth on their own. So, and that's one of those things that you can connect to your phone, and it's just fantastic. And they're cheap. You can find them. Realistically, they're like 15, $20, you know. And a few different companies make them, so you can find them on like Amazon and stuff like that. But it's one of these things, and actually something though, because again, I'm ADD, so things are gonna seem good. CD player Bluetooth. Fair enough. I mean, I will listen to the radio, but in my car right now, I have an AM radio. That's the whole reason why I picked this up years ago. And it was like such a smoking deal for that, because again, it's rare that it has the amp. That was an option. And the amp was an option from, I think it was like 1980 to like 84, I think. I've seen the amps, to be honest. They're big honking things that were usually underneath the back seat, I believe, is where they put them. No, it was underneath the driver's seat. I think that's what it was. Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's an amp that's like this big, and yet it's only like 100 watts. Because welcome to the 80s, when you can get amps half that size that like are 1,000 watt. It's brutal. But yeah, and because I don't know wiring worth a damn, and I only because the one thing is, in my system, I'll have to add more speakers. That's just a given, and my parts car happens to have all its speakers still in it, so I might just rob 2 speakers out of it, just so I can have 3 speakers up front, so that I can actually wire this in properly, because my AM radio is only for a single speaker system. It's only a single speaker system. So it's technically not a stereo, it's mono. Yeah, see, you were lucky to have cassette. Like something else, they're in my car. I'd go grab the other 2 that I have, because the one actually was in a first gen Civic that my dad picked up with a couple extra parts because it didn't have a radio, and he wanted a radio so bad. And that was like his main goal, which was so funny, was to get the radio functional. Not get the car running and driving, but to get the radio. He was just like, oh, this has to happen. I need my radio, which is so funny. Because, like, you're in a 78 Civic. You should just be able to, just listen to whatever, have a Bluetooth speaker like I have. But we still have a little stereo. And the thing is, it's actually a rarer radio because it happens to be an AM FM 8-track. And the 8-track is hidden because you don't see it, but it's actually one of these designs where it's much thinner than this. Like, it's all contained in about half the size, to be honest, and it's an original from the 70s. It happens to be an Audiovox that's licensed by Learjet, which and Learjet as in like the jet company, same company. They were like the shit way back in the day for sound stuff. And the thing is, and it happens to have the fake wood on it. It's pretty cool. But the 8-track is hidden on it, so it doesn't have that big opening down here or anything like that. No, it's just the faceplate will push in, and that's where you put your 8-tracks. It's pretty cool, actually. But I was actually gonna put that one in the car because, like, you know what, 8-track player is kind of cool in a way. But I realized it's not actually gonna fit in the car without doing some modification, like cutting up the dash, which I don't want to do. I'd much rather just put in a stock stereo like this, which is a pain in the ass. If you don't know, 4i Fox bodies have this problem, and most old cars have this problem. So it wasn't until the double din systems in the 90s was around that you could actually remove the stereo from the front. Instead, You had to snake it out from behind. And Tanner, I want to badly. I haven't actually had my car to Street Wheelers at all. And I haven't been to Street Wheelers in years. I just don't know if I'll be able to make it. It's gonna fall down to money because, I'll need to find a place to stay, which I can stay close to Lethbridge. I have a place in Carmangay which I can stay, which is only like 20 or 30 minutes outside of Lethbridge, which isn't too bad. But it's affording it. It's the gas and all that stuff, and gas, especially around Street Wheelers, is gonna go sky high. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope to. I really want to go, but we shall see. And I'll maybe try and figure out something, even if I'm there for just like a day. Say it's like the Saturday or something, because I know that like now that they no longer do the cruise. They are doing the 100-footer this year, and they are doing in the park, but I don't know, like, are they doing as big as they normally do? Because again, I haven't been there for years. Because when I explain Street Wheelers to anybody, Street Wheelers is basically, it takes over all of Lethbridge, and anywhere there's an open field, there's a car show, and people are cruising around all the time, especially out on like 4th Ave, and 3rd Ave for that matter. Just all the time, and even down Mary McGrath, it's constant. And like, to be honest, I'd love to go because I get so much content for YouTube as well. It's not just for my benefit, it's like for fun, but it's also like benefit for the channel too. And I could possibly get like driver interviews on cars and stuff like that, which I've always wanted to do. And it's interesting because like, for anybody that doesn't know, like the 100-footer is exactly how it sounds. You build your car to hell and you race 100 feet. And it's so funny. People built the nastiest cars to do this. Like one of the cars around town, I don't know if it's still in town or not, was called Tweet. Tweet was this last generation Firebird that had one gnarly ass cam in it, and it would do wheelies, and it was usually the king of the hill most years. But because whoever had the fastest time, the 100-footer, was they were king of the hill. There happens to be a Roadrunner that has won it as well. It's a yellow Roadrunner that has a 572 Hemi in it that pushes, give or take, about 1,000 horsepower. That one is won King of the Hill, and I believe there was this Mustang 2 that, honestly, if I see it for sale and if I ever have the money to buy it, I will buy it. I will track it down and I'll buy it. Because I knew the builder. He was actually a family friend. And this Mustang 2, it's wild of how many different setups are in this car. Oddly enough, the setup that's in it now is kind of tame compared to what it was. So the best setup I'd ever had, because it's always been an automatic, and it was like, I may have been like his first car, or if it wasn't his first car, he just had it for a long ass time. Guy's name was Mike, the builder. And Mike put in a 514 big block with 3 kits of nitrous on it. I don't know how much power it was actually pushing, but that's like a ton of power with a C6 automatic and a 9-inch out back. And it happened to be a Mustang 2 Ghia, but it wasn't a hatchback, it was a notchback. But the way he built it was just beautiful. It has a roll cage in it, and it only has a 408 stroker with 2 bottles of nitrous out back. Still has the 9-inch. I believe it's still the C6 as well. Last time I saw it for sale, which it was so sad, I saw it for like 15 grand. I'm going, bruh, that car probably has like 300 grand into it. Just with all the different setups he's had throughout the years. It's wild. And it's such a beautiful car. See, I like the hatches, but I've always had a special place for the notchbacks with the Mustang 2 because of that one, right? It's just the way it's built, which I might be able to find it. I know it's not for sale anymore, but see if I can find that, to be honest. Let's see here. Because I was messaging back and forth with the person who was selling it, and I wanted to do a video on it, but it just, you know. See, a 240SX notchback, that's a very rare car, to be honest. Like, they were all basically hatchbacks, except for, like, I swear, like 20. Obviously, there's more than that, but... And what's even rarer is finding the convertibles. The convertibles are, like, unicorn. Because I think this was a 78. But let's just scroll through the messages I have here. Let's just go 1978 Mustang. No, not that one. Let's see. Just see if I can find it. Nope. Like, this was a couple years ago. Yeah, no, that ad is gone. Damn. Let's just see. There's Mustang 2. There, let's just see. There's got to be pictures of it online somewhere. I don't have any pictures of it anymore, but it's such a cool car. I love it. And it's the one Mustang 2 that I would own 100%. I love the Cobra 2s and stuff like that, but there's something about that one in particular. I'm just trying to find search terms to see if I can find a picture of it somewhere, but I'm not finding it, which is sad. You know, but it happened to be a Gia, which is kind of funny. But I mean, it still had, I think it had the factory dash still in it, but that was about it. Everything else was modified. You know, it's just cool. And, you know, it's interesting because when I wasn't interested in Mustangs, that's the one I was interested in. Sorry, Scott, I can't find it. I was messaging back and forth with somebody who was selling it, but they may have deleted the conversation and I can't find it. Because I know for a fact there's no way I have it under my saved. No. Let's just say, unless they never took it off the marketplace. Let's find out. 78 Mustang. I don't know, because I might be able to find the ad still around if they never got rid of it. But I don't think so, because, yeah, no. No. It was purple as well. It was just sweet. I love the color of it. No, that's not it. It's a badass one, but that's... Oh, wait, hang on. Wait a minute. No, this is not it. No. No, this is not it. I found one similar. Sorry. I'm looking. I don't think I can find it, though. I thought it was a famous car, but guess it's really not. You know, I thought it would have been, though. Because, yeah, no. It's a famous car in my eyes, but it's I believe, 78. It's a 78. It's like this bluish purple. It's a Gia. It's got a vinyl top on it. And, you know, it's got a little bit of a spoiler out back. So, you know, that's the best way to describe it. Like I said, it has a bit of a roll bar in it. It's got really fat tires out back. It's just a beautiful car. Like I said, yeah, it's a Ghia. Like, here, I'll type it in the chat. Because it's a car that I would know it when I saw it, because I saw one similar to it for sale in BC, but that's not it. This is gonna eat at me. I need to find it. But I don't know if I will. Wait. Wait. Is this it? Hang on. Did they throw it at an auction? Oh my god. Hang on. I think I found it. Yeah, this is it. No, it's a 78. I found it. So it went through an auction. It did not sell because it didn't go for a lot of money. These were actually the pictures that I saw when it was for sale on Marketplace. Come on. I never liked the wheels on it though. Come on, focus please. Focus please. Please focus. It doesn't really want to focus. Hang on. What I can do so that you can see it, copy it, and it's surprising because I mean I've never even heard of this site that was selling it at this auction, but I'll put the link in the chat here. That was the auction that it went through, and like I said, it only went for $3,500. Like that's just. And this was, when was this auction held? I wonder, like, what year was this? This would have been like last year or the year before, though. But, you know, you can just read through the sort of spec list, which, yeah, it's got a lot done to it. And I thought it was a C6 tranny. It was actually a C4 that was built. There we go. But it's just such a beautiful car, and like you can see why I want that one. Oh, there you go. September 11th, 2021 went through this auction. And I remember it was for sale for quite a while because when Mike sold it, I believe this was in 2020 when he sold it, they sold it to this woman. Her name was Christina. And she never really used it. But then, because she had this other one. And like they had this red built one that they used far more. So then this, you know, Mike's just sat on the wayside and never got used. So then she put it up for sale, and it started at like 20 grand. It went down to 15. It may have went down to even 10 grand. Which you look at the build of that thing, it is an incredible build. Because you never see them built quite that nice, to be honest. And you know, and again, I know the car, I know the build. It's amazing. And that's a car that I would. That's one Mustang too that I would own in a heartbeat. That specific one. Which actually I should. So I'm going to save the images. Just screenshot them. Just Now, I mean, I'd change the wheels on it because I'm not a fan of those. But other than that, I'd keep it as is. And like I said, this at one point had a 514 big block in it. Just beautiful build. Those big old long tape headers that would just be a pain in the ass to deal with. But yeah, and it's just, and this thing was for sale for quite a long time. I'm amazed I found it. That's awesome. Because I just happened to, put, like, what did I type in on Google? Yeah, I put 72 Mustang 2 Ghia notchback built, and I just scrolled down, and I found that. Yeah, it's just, honestly, just beautiful car, like I mentioned, right? So, and, like, that one, I'll take over a Cobra 2 any day of the week. Any day of the week, I'll take that one. It's just the lines it has. It's just beautiful, beautiful car. Now, with it being 14-to-1 compression, like you have to run the thing on race gas, which I mean, I would mostly use it as a race car. But once the motor blows up, I think I put a little more tame of an engine back in it, just because that engine, it's just not really streetable. Like it is, but it's not. But just a nice, 351 with about 400 horsepower would do just fine in that car. And you already have the roll cage that is, that whole roll bar setup it's rated to like an 8-second quarter, I think. So yeah, it would pass tech, no problem. But man, I just wonder what happened to it. Where is it? I've always wondered about that car. Every time I saw, like when I saw Mike selling it on Kijiji, because I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, it's so sad to see you selling the car. I, used to admire this car." And I told him like you dated my mom or whatever else, and he remembered who I was actually at the time. I don't know if he'd remembered now. This is, a few days on or a few years ago, but yeah, honestly, it's just sad. So sad. But because he finally just said, you know what, like, I could actually was the VIN on that website. I'm gonna look. Hang on a second. Was the VIN on the website? No, it was not. Okay, so this was an EG Auctions listing. I've seen EG Auctions with their stuff around Alberta, but I don't see the VIN actually on the website, so I don't know the VIN off by hand. And I don't know if I could find the emails to ask Mike himself about that. I'd have to dig pretty freaking deep to try and find those emails, which might be deleted, to be honest. Because again, this was years ago. Oh, you found the. I'm going to yoink. Control C. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, just put it in here. There we go, notepad. That's what I need. There we go. That'll be immortalized on this computer now. On the notepad. Perfect. I didn't see it on the website there, so there you go. Thank you. Yeah, I can see if it's still in the system and whatnot. I don't know what all the information they could tell me about it. I don't think I could find a phone number, but I could at least that helps search. So appreciate that. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, because it's a car. Like I said, if I ever get the money, I would go after that car, 100%. You know, um, like realistically, it's not practical for me to buy that car now. But like, if I sold everything, I could buy it. I could probably afford it if I found it around. Because it's not a high-dollar car. I know that it's really not. But like, I'm not gonna sell both my cars and my Dakota, which I'm gonna sell the Dakota, for sure. But you know, and the Vrock is already sold. The parts car doesn't have much value to it, obviously, because the thing's just a. It's so sad as a story with that thing, to be honest. I'm very sad about that one. But it's one of those deals where, just people that are not how should I put this? Trying to think of how to put this. Hang on. Actually, now that's my train of thought. Oh well, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, so it's yeah. See, like, and a Notchback 240SX, I see them once in a blue moon for sale. Once in a blue moon. They are rare though. Um, Oddly, it's weird. I see more of the convertibles for sale, which are even rarer than the notchbacks. But people just let go of the convertibles easier, I guess. Um, but like, I mean, I have my unicorns that I want to get. I'd love to get an AMC AMX, a first gen. I'd love to get an AMC Eagle SX4. That happens to be the 4.2 and a stick. That's what I want. I want a 1970 Dodge Cornet. It could be a wagon, it could be a two-door, it could be a Super V, whatever. Honestly, I just want one. What else is there? To be honest, there's a lot. There's so many vehicles. Actually, it's something I really want, which there's one for sale. It's not terribly expensive, but the one thing is, because I asked if they would trade car for car, my convertible for this convertible. It happens to be a Dodge Dakota Sport convertible. I want one of those so bad. I know they're not great. Like, they're reliable, especially the 3.9. 3.9 V6 with the 5-speed manual, you know, and it's a manual convertible top, so you don't have to worry about a pump or anything. It's just really cool. P1800, yeah, I love those too. And honestly, I could take either the P1800, the wagon, or the coupe. Either or. Something else, Opel GT, like the old school Opel GT from like the 60s and 70s. That one. That looks kind of like a mini Corvette, but it's not. Like, I want one of those. And there's just a bunch. To be honest, there's a bunch of cars. Even if I don't own them, I want to experience them. Right? No, Opel. So, interesting thing about Opel. Opel was a GM brand. They were made by GM, or I think, like most companies, I think they were just acquired by GM sometime, back in the day. And, but then, because Opel is a German company, technically. Um, but then they sold off Opel to, I think, Peugeot. So technically, Opel, now with the merger with FCA, with PSA, they're actually part of like the Chrysler Group technically now, which is interesting. And and with that whole merger, it's something that wasn't talked about as much. It hasn't gotten as much fanfare, which is interesting, because it's the biggest merger in automotive history. because you had the Peugeot group, which is PSA, which was like Peugeot, Citroen. There's a couple other little companies in there, like I said, Opel and a few others. And then combined with Fiat Chrysler, which Fiat owns like Ferrari and stuff like that. See, I haven't paid attention to Peugeot in a long time. Like, Peugeot has made crap cars ever since the 208, which I love the Peugeot 208, though. I would own a Peugeot 208. I know it's not a good car, but it's a beautiful car. Peugeot 208, little hatchback. I love it. I would own one, even though I know they're a crappy car. But like, I mean, something. I'd probably end up like swapping the motor for like K Series Honda or something like that. Swap the transmission as well and just make it all sort of like Honda, just so that it's reliable. Because the 208 was the beginning of the end for Peugeot, even though like they started making massive cash at that point. But it's one of those deals that you just don't. With some of the sort of cuts that they made, budget cuts and whatever else, it just didn't really. Just quality went way down the toilet. And then there was the whole issue with like Travis Goen with the whole thing with like embezzling money and stuff like that. And it's a wild ride, to be honest. When you look at Peugeot, and it's interesting because Peugeot, it's actually one of the oldest companies around. Because they started in, I think it was like the 1700s. And they actually started making, it was like I think salt and pepper shakers, and then they moved on to like big looms, and then obviously they eventually moved into cars. But it is wild, the progression of Peugeot, when you look at where they started. And they had like some of the best salt and pepper shakers on the planet, which is funny when you think about that. Salt and pepper shakers, you wouldn't think anything of that, but Peugeot 308. Did you mean to say 208 or 308? Because the 308, I think, is a really ugly Peugeot. In my opinion, anyways. Oh, actually, 308, that doesn't look terrible, to be honest. I was thinking of, like, the 3008 or something, like the ones that were, like, the really ugly SUV-looking things back in the day. But that's actually not bad looking. I'd still much rather have a 208, though. An old-school 208, not new 208. Like Peugeot 208 from, like, 2001. So, okay, apparently they still make the 208? Or maybe I'm thinking of 206. Hang on. 206 is what I was thinking of. Apologies. Not 208. 206. That's the one I want. Which, it's just such a good looking car. I really like that thing a lot. And lots of people do. I'm not the only one. But then also, like, where some of my love came from the Peugeot 206 was that thing right there. That's a freaking World Rally Car 206. WRC. Just, I don't know if it'll focus on it. There we go. I mean, if you squint, I suppose it would. Like, and there's something, because there's a few cars that I would into or at least make it look like they're rally cars, and the 206 is one of those cars that's how I bought it, is turn it into the rally car, or not necessarily turn it into a rally car, but just make it just this badass looking thing. It's no different than if I owned There's actually one in town, which I really want it so bad. But that one is pretty original, so I'd probably keep that one original. But if I ever found a 1993 or that sort of generation Celica All-Track, which the All-Track is the left-hand drive version, GT4 is right-hand drive. There actually is a Celica All-Track here in town. I know where it parks. I've been meaning to talk to the owner to see what's up with it. Because it was at a shop that's down the street here, which I don't like them, to be honest. I've had issues with that shop. And talk to them and see what's up with this thing, because it seems like it's been parked forever. I saw it driving around a couple of times. I have some pictures of it somewhere. And it's burgundy, actually. It's a beautiful car. But you know, it's just one of those things. No, I'm not. It's just when you drive around town and you're just cruising and you see what people have around, like I know where a lot of the cool cars are around town, to be honest. It's one of those things because, you know, you drive around town and you find them. Like there's this big yard with all these cool cars. I've talked to not the owner of the yard, just he has a couple of cars in there, and they weren't interested in doing anything with them. They just want them to sit, which is sad, but that's fine. Um, there is another property. I've wanted to talk to them because it's every time I go out to my buddy Greg's, there's this other property that I pass every time I go out to Greg's. And they have some really cool cars. I've meant to just turn down the driveway, like on a weekend, just turn down the driveway and just see if they're friendly and talk to them and just tell them, hey, I'm a car girl. I've been eyeing your cars for years, to be honest. Would you mind talking to me about them? And then maybe they'd be interested in if they would allow me to film them, and if not, well, maybe I could potentially buy one. There's one in particular I want in there badly. I've always wanted one. Um, it happens to be a first gen RX-7, you know, which is such a cool car. Not a good car, but a cool car. And no, I'm not a stalker. Just because I know where all the cool cars are. But it's also a really small town. Gotta remember that. Very small town. But you know, it's one of those things. Because actually on Roy Marco's channel, you can actually see some of that. To be honest, he came down one of the time and filmed some stuff, and it was really cool. And his outtakes were fun, to be honest, in that video. They really are. And they're more reliable than people give them credit for. It's the later turbo cars that really got a bad rap for reliability, to be honest. But, you know, and the one thing is with rotaries, you have to know the maintenance of them. And unfortunately, that one sitting, I bet you anything it's got bad apex seals, to be honest. I wouldn't doubt it. Because that's what happens with them. When they sit, especially, their apex seals just go. And, you know, which basically, like apex seals, if anybody doesn't know, in a rotary, basically, because rotaries are two-stroke. And they're kind of weird because, you know, like what some people call them is the angry Dorito, because it's kind of in the shape, you know, it's like a triangle. And it spins, and instead of having pistons, it has these combustion chambers. That in 86, that'd be a second gen if I'm not mistaken. But it had these combustion chambers, which would have 3 of them, although depending on how many rotors it actually had, because they made, you know, single rotor, double rotor, triple rotor, there was even 4 rotors. Oh, hi, Peter. Welcome. Yeah, I'm doing okay, actually. Because at the beginning of this live stream, to be honest, I just wanted to talk about, which, honestly, just about some struggles that, you know, I've kind of had, but then also just letting people know that if they have a problem, that they can reach out to me if they need to, because I don't have a problem with talking with people. I happen to be, an automotive YouTuber, but it's one of these things where, I just wanted to basically just tell people that, that you're not alone, right? And I will be your reason to fight if I have to. So, but yeah, like I'm doing fine. Like, to be honest, and I referenced a video actually that Disturbed put out. I heard that live. David Draymond talking about how he almost took his life 2 months ago, and that choked me up. To be honest, I heard that actually it was just a couple weeks ago. It was May 10th that I went to see Disturbed, and I heard that live, and it choked me up so bad hearing that. So, but yeah, I'm good. I promise that I'm good. It's just the title was, I was initially just going to keep it sort of like that, but then my car peeps hop in the chat, so we start talking about cars. That's just how it goes. No, not here. No, baby, yeah, baby. Why is that song stuck in my head? Jesus. But then also, like, something that we finally got a little bit last night, which wasn't much, but then today, because all across Alberta there have been wildfires like hell. I was gonna say, I was thinking that was you. I couldn't remember, but yeah, no. I mean, if you do come across that head, let me know because I would be interested. It's just figuring out how I might afford it, but I will figure something out though. If you find that head, I'll figure out a way to pay for it. Because yeah, it's a rare head. I'd love to have that head because it just make my life so much easier with all the stuff I want to do. And like, I've done a ton of stuff to my car. If you haven't seen on the channel, to be honest, I don't know if you have, because I haven't seen you comment much at all. I actually, because when I saw your name, I'm like, I think I recognize that, and yep, that's you. So yeah, if anybody doesn't know, like, Peter is the guy I was talking to, what, about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, of basically tracking down a very rare Australian 250 head. This head happens to be, it's the non-crossflow head, because the crossflow I guess you can find, but you need to modify the head and the block so much it's not even worth it. The Aussie head though actually has a removable intake. The American head doesn't. So that's what makes that one so much better. And that honestly intake is honestly a really good design too. It flows really well. And and if I remember correctly, there are 2-barrel as well right out of the box. So wouldn't have to modify the intake for that. And like, it's not like I haven't thought about, paying to get mine sort of modified in a similar way, but it would cost me so much money. Like, don't get me wrong, that wouldn't be cheap either, but we'll see. But yeah, if you find one, let me know. Because yeah, I'm still kind of on the hunt. I've seen them once in a blue moon pop up. Because there was one actually. This guy just out in Washington. I'm like, I wish I had the money and then a passport, because I would have just sent the guy the money and drove down there to pick it up. This guy had a motor and the an Aussie head, and there was a few other things that he had as well, and it was a modified motor as well. Oh, and Scott just sent me an 87 RX-7 or 84 RX-7, sorry, on Cars and Bids. Ooh, that's a nice looking. Oh, so this is the one you reviewed. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool actually. I love these cars. Oh, it's only got 37,000 miles. Wow. Beautiful car. Like, and I love these old rotaries, to be honest. I kind of know the maintenance because I've looked into it to see, what do you have to do to actually maintain these, and it's a lot, to be honest. Well, I say a lot, but it's not. Like, okay, you need a premix. You need to check your oil every single time you fill it up with gas, because of course they are, like I mentioned, two-stroke, so they use oil. And the one thing is, they were never designed to actually like be at low sort of speeds. Rotors were designed to sorry, as my mind is just blanking here. They were designed to basically have the RPMs up quite high on them. There's the reason why they rev to like, $9 grand. But you need to do like an Italian tune-up on a rotary like once a day, basically. I thought actually, Peter, I thought all of the Aussie heads were 2 barrels. Did they make 1 barrel versions as well? I didn't know that, to be honest. Oh, really, Scott? Yeah, no. Every single Mazda RX ever made has been rotary, and there was the RX-3, the RX-4. I think there was an RX-5. They skipped the RX-6 and they went straight to the RX-7, and then they had 3 generations of the RX-7, which made no sense to me. But that's fine. And then they made the RX-8, and then RX-8's what killed the rotary because the RX-8 was not a great car. But they also didn't market the RX-8 properly, though. I will fully admit that. Because they kind of marketed it as the sort of fun, sort of enthusiast car that you could drive your family around in. Well, it's not really that, though. Like, it is, but it's not. Because you open it up to this thing where it wasn't as much of the enthusiast buying them. It was these people that thought, hey, that's kind of a cool car, and I don't know any of the maintenance, but I'm going to buy it anyways. It's like, it just didn't work out so well. And see, there was the MX-6, which what's interesting about the MX-6, the Mazda MX-6 was what the Probe was based off of. And the MX-6 got all the cool stuff. So the MX-6 got like 4-wheel steering, active aero, and just really cool stuff like that. The Probe didn't get any of that. They could also be all-wheel drive, if I'm not mistaken. And they had little turbos on them too, and they were actually a very respectable fast car. But oh yeah, like if they actually offered the Probe like that, but it's no different than with Dodge and Mitsubishi's partnership. So the thing is, the Eagle Talon got everything that the Eclipse did. However, the Dodge Stealth did not get all the cool stuff that the 3000 GT VR4 got. The 3000 GT VR4 had the 4-wheel steering, the active aero, and it just had all this really cool sort of tech. The Stealth RT, it just got the motor. That was basically it. It's sad, you know. They could be all-wheel drive as well, I believe, the Stealth RT, but that was it. Didn't get the 4-wheel steering, didn't get the active aero. And something that was wild because when I upgraded from you know the phones, because like my old phone is a smaller one here. This is my newer phone. And just how much bigger it is. Wild. With door conversions, what do you mean by that? Like what? Did it have scissor doors on it? Did it have? If it had, I'm assuming scissor doors, which I'm not a big fan of scissor doors, but yeah, see, I'm not a big fan of that. Like scissor doors rarely look good to me. The only car that I've actually seen that doesn't have scissor doors from the factory that actually looked good was it happened to be a C7 Corvette. You know, it was actually kind of neat, and the owner of it really surprised when I talked to him. Younger guy, but not like super young. He was older than me. When he was talking to me, it's like, yeah, this is my first car. I'm like, you got a C7 Corvette as your first car? Lucky bastard. Ugh. Blah. Well, I mean, he had a kid, and you could tell. I mean, he was looking in his early 30s for sure. But it was just like C7 Corvette. That's an interesting choice for your first car. And now something though that he told me, which I found this so funny when he said it. Like, and again, I totally respect the guy and what he did. Honestly, kind of a neat build, to be honest. He put the scissor doors on it because he said that the doors were too big and he had problems with them in parking lots. I'm going, dude, you don't know what a big door is. Go get a Lincoln, a Lincoln Mark V door. That's a big door. Cadillac Eldorado from like '72. That's a giant door too. Stuff like that. Those are big doors. Doors on a Corvette? Nah. Nah. Those aren't that big. I mean, I've driven a 72 or 73. I think it's 73. Cadillac Eldorado with the 500 motor in it. That thing actually rips bad. But those doors, God, they weigh like 800 pounds. Like, they're just insane. Yeah, that caddy, actually. Hang on. I got pictures of it. Let me see if I can find them. It wasn't that long ago that I actually drove it, so I can find the pictures. I just got to scroll down a bit. There we go. So it happened to be this exact car. Come on. There we go, kind of. It's not really focusing that well, but that's okay. You're like just a massive car. See, I find it interesting that they call them, hey, Cadillac Blackwing. Still has an LT motor in it, though. It's not the Blackwing motor that they use in racing. Which, because apparently, yeah, like the Cadillac Blackwing race cars, those have an insane sort of motor that they, which I understand probably cost wise, the reason why they don't like just detune that motor and use that. Or maybe it doesn't meet emissions because it's a race motor. I don't know. But yeah, because they use like the CT5 Blackwing. Those use, I believe it's like an LT4, which that's the evolution of the LS. They're neat, but again, it's not really like my thing. I'll still look at one and I think they're cool, but they're not my thing. So I like my classics. It's one of those things. Like that old caddy, I'll take that over a Blackwing any day of the week. And that thing moves pretty good for a 5,200-pound pig. Trust me, I revved it up a little bit because there's no tack in it, so I don't know what I revved it up to. And I didn't want to do a burnout with it. But I as soon as I let off the gas and just mashed it, tire squawked a bit and it freaking went. Yeah, if I had a link, see it, yeah. I could see links from across the world. If it was sent, I could see the link to anything you sent on Marketplace. I just can't. I don't think I could view, like, do search results on my own for Australian Marketplace. I don't think. I might be able to, but I don't think I can. But if you send me a link, I can look at it. But yeah, because I the only way, I'll just see, because maybe I can. What was I gonna do here? Oh, yeah, right, Marketplace. Because if I change my location, I might be able to. Oh, maybe I can. Australia. There you go. Let's just say Melbourne. And go 299 kilometers from there. Sure. Apply. Okay, yeah, so I can actually. Oh, let's see. What did you send me? You sent me a photo. Ooh. The entire motor for only $350? Bruh. Oh, yeah, no worries, Scott. I definitely appreciate you coming out to the thing, to the live, and yeah, I'll chat at you later. And Peter, yeah, that's actually a really good price on that too. Because yeah, now that has the removable intake though, no? Um, because I'm trying to look at it and I can't tell from that angle. Because like it depends on the year for the Aussie 250. That I do know if they have a removable intake or not. Which that one, because I can't tell from the angle of that photo that you sent. But like if you send me the ad for that, I can actually look at it. Because like something I did on Facebook, I actually put my location as uh I think Melbourne is what I chose. Yep, it's Melbourne, which is funny seeing this stuff. That's some cool stuff, but yeah, I should change that back though, because that's just gonna screw with my stuff. There we go. Apply that. There we go. Change that back. But yeah, because that's a full motor, but the because I don't know, is that the correct head? Like it's an Aussie 250, yes, but does that have the removable intake? Because like if you send me the actual link to that, like if you go share and then copy the link, I could look at it and see if it's the correct one. Because that's the one thing. Because that's still a log style, which I think that's the wrong one. It does have a nice little header on it, though. I will say that. I like that. But yeah, that head looks. There we go. Let's take a look at this. Pre-crossflow, he says. Does he show? He doesn't show it from the other side. Damn it. You know, that is the cast-in head. That's not the removable intake. So that's almost identical to the head I currently have, actually. So I wouldn't necessarily be interested in that. Although I like the headers, but they'd be too much. They'd be too expensive to actually, just have you buy the engine and then send me the headers. It would just cost way too much in shipping for that. Just not worth it. But yeah, unfortunately, that looks like the log style intake, which I think that's cast in. So it's not the one I was thinking of. Because I could look up what's the number on the side. So 70. So this is a 72, which I thought. Let's take a look at this guy's. Oh, that's the only thing he's selling. That dude. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, that's an interesting place for a temperature sensor because again, the blocks are a little different. But like that head, I believe, is just the standard sort of head. Nothing special there, to be honest. Which is sad because that'd be cool. But I don't believe that's the right one. Because looking at it, it looks identical to mine. Just obviously I have a different valve cover on mine right now. So yeah, unfortunately, that's not the one I was thinking of. Because that one looks to be the cast-in intake, right? It's not the removable by the looks of it. Because removable intake, different story. I'd be interested in that, but that looks like this identical to my motor, other than like a couple different things are in different places. But and it being a 250 in general, it's actually got a taller deck height than my motor. But other than that, so unfortunately, that's not the elusive head. I have one of those on my motor currently. Because yeah, I'm trying to think because I need to look it up just to confirm. I will look this up. What was I gonna type in here? Oh yeah, Australian Ford 250. There we go. Because yeah, I need to see. Because the one that I was hoping to find was the removable intake. That's the whole point. Because it just flows way better. But yeah, it looks like your standard heads had the same style intake. Same log intake, which I thought, because I was thinking it's the two barrel one, I guess, is the one I was thinking of. Okay, let's see what this one is. Yeah, that's the same thing. You just sent it to me twice. But again, like that looks like the same friggin', like I said, the same head that I have. That's like identical. So, I need to look into that to see what one I'm thinking of because it might be the two barrel head. is what I'm thinking of. Let's just take a look. No, there's no pictures on this freaking ad either. But yeah, it's unfortunately no, that's not the one I'm looking at. I'm after because I've got that identical head on my motor. To be honest, that identical one. That's a cast-in intake. I'm looking for the one with the removable intake, which is a very rare head to find. To be honest, because apparently like the crossflow head, you just need to modify quite extensively. Like I'm gonna look that up actually because somebody did have a thing on it. And I just can't remember. Uh, um, and that's something that. Here we go. Oh, maybe that is. Hang on. I couldn't tell if that was a 1-barrel carb or a 2-barrel carb on that. I need to pull it up on the big thing here. Because if that's the 2-barrel that it is, just for some reason I thought there was a removable intake. I don't know why I did. Let me look at that again. Because again, I want it up on the big 2-barrel carb, different story. But I can't tell if that's a 2-barrel or 1-barrel because it looks like a 1-barrel. Right? That's what's confusing me about it. Because that looks like just that looks like the 1-barrel. Like I'm looking for the 2-barrel one, which I don't know what year it was. That's the one thing. That's what I'm trying to look up too, because you asked me what year. I don't know. I'm looking. Because I'm just looking to see what needs to be done to a crossflow head to actually bolt it on. I found this article here that I'm just reading up right now. And yeah, because the first task was to fabricate and install a gasket support adapter plate. It is trimmed to fit between the 2 square cast bosses on the side of the block, so its length may vary slightly depending on your casting. Okay. So it has a special head gasket that you have to just custom make. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's okay. So you just need to you need to add a little bit to the sides of the block. Because this whole article that I found is actually just using one of the Crossflow Aussie heads. and doing that. Sorry, I'm getting messages from a friend here. Apologies. I must widen this. Oh jeez, okay. Okay, you need to fill some holes. Okay. That's actually not too bad. I would need to talk to because I'm also looking into this whole thing of the crossflow head, actually. I didn't realize that. Huh, okay. Because this actually isn't too terrible, but I just need to talk to somebody that has a machine shop, because I might be able to use a crossflow head, which you said you can find pretty easily, actually. The crossflow heads, which, I could be interested in a crossflow head, actually. And oddly enough, like, I have a spare block that could be modified, to be honest. That way I don't have to take apart my car to do this. Yeah, this is an interesting, because, like, here, I'll send you actually this article here. Because all it said is, because, like, the Aussie 2, so the 2V, aka the 2 Pro head, is the one that I was thinking of, which are quite hard to find. You know, they still have some of the limitations that mine does, but it's still way better though. Or, you can modify a crossflow to fit, which, like, here, I'll send you this article that I found. Actually, I'm getting a crossflow, which that actually doesn't look too bad. But I have to find somebody with a machine shop that I could talk to and ask, okay, realistically, what would this cost to do this? To see if it's even worth it, which I don't even know. Do I know of a machine shop that I can actually trust? Because that's the gamble, right? Because this is not standard shit here. This is kind of rare stuff. Well, not rare, but it's rare modifications. Because nobody really does this. But that article tells you how to do it. But yeah, and I don't know when they did the two valve or the two barrel heads. I don't know what year it was. Oh, and let's see this. What's up with the distributor? Okay. Well, I mean, it's something to think about. But I mean, I'll continue to chat with you on Instagram, but I think I'm gonna hop off here, to be honest. Going for 2 hours. So yeah, because the chat's now kind of like dead anyways. But I'll talk to you on Instagram though, okay? Anyways, thank you all for coming out. And like I mentioned earlier in the stream, if you need anything, reach out to me. I don't have an issue with talking with any of you and just making sure that you're okay. So, or if you just want to chat, just in general, that's fine too. So, anyways, love you all. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later.